Hi, thank you for joining us. My name is Gilbert and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Emsika. We recently wrote an article titled The Modern Education System, and in that article we spoke about how one is no longer limited to the idea of sitting in a classroom at specific times for them to learn anything. Despite the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic being terrible and devastating, it made room for a lot of innovation across the world. One of them for us at Emsika is how we deliver information to farmers. You see, prior to the pandemic, we followed farmers to their residential areas to educate them on how to farm as a business, sometimes even having classes in the heat of the sun. Now, we get to reach a much wider audience who are young, old, experienced, and even aspiring farmers in the comfort of their homes or wherever they may choose to take their lessons from. Anyone is at liberty to attend any class at any time and study at their own pace using our recently launched platform, Apunzile.com. In full words, Mulimi Apunzile. On this platform, we get to work with professionals from different fields: agrochemicals, livestock, plant diseases, and so on. If you would love to be part of this global community like I do, you can access our e-learning platform by simply going to www.apunzile.com and pick from a wide range of programs that we have made available for you. We look forward to seeing you there. And please remember, no farmer, no food. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I should actually mention that I'm humbled by the invitation to talk to you farmers. Apparently today I'm talking to two groups of farmers. Just an hour ago, again, I was giving a presentation to a group of farmers who are having future, and an hour later I am with this group here discussing farming again. When my elder Swalanga shared with me that he would want us to discuss on how you can for your farming business strategically, I got excited for the simple reason that I interact with a lot of farmers, and personally I've been involved in farming, and there is a lot that I realize is missing within that space where our farmers are concerned. And over time, I've realized that much as it is exciting that we have a very huge population of Zambians who are into farming, we have very few of those Zambians that actually understand what is involved in farming from a business point of view. Now, I should mention, I love to jokingly say this to farmers, that there's a difference between a farmer and an entrepreneur who is into farming. You can be either a farmer or you can be an entrepreneur who is into farming. These are two very different things. Not every farmer is an entrepreneur. Not every farmer is an entrepreneur. And what I have come to challenge you to do today is for all of you that are watching me to move to a dimension where you not just be a farmer, but you are going to be an entrepreneur who is into farming, or an entrepreneur in the agricultural space. Okay, so let me just park here so that we can have this conversation very well together. So I was mentioning to say there's a huge difference between a farmer and an entrepreneur who is into farming. One understands the technical aspects of farming, such as where you should buy seed from, what kind of seed you should buy, when you should plant, how you space things, or whatever kind of fish fingerings you should buy, where you buy them from, how long they take to grow, what kind of feed you should give. That is technical information of farming. And you don't have to be an entrepreneur to know that kind of knowledge. Actually, you can simply register at Palavana, or you can register at NRDC and you get that information. It is the technical knowledge of farming. It is offered in a traditional academic that might be a degree in agriculture, a diploma in agronomy, a certificate in animal husbandry, but he might be keeping no animal at all, and he might be able to teach you that. Now, many graduates go through agriculture school, and not all of them end up as entrepreneurs. My assumption is that this afternoon, I'm addressing a group of people that are entrepreneurs who are into farming. When you are an entrepreneur who is into farming, there might even be certain technical knowledge that you might not know, but still you are on top of things running the business because there are people you might employ who have the technical knowledge. But the kind of knowledge you have is the business knowledge or the entrepreneurship knowledge. And why I am emphasizing this is because I do not know of any industry where there are so many casualties on its landscape as the agricultural industry. I do not know of any industry where there are so many casualties, so many failed businesses, so many losses, so much frustration and depression as the agricultural industry. I run 3 businesses that are in separate industries. One is a consulting firm, one is a publishing firm, one is a pharmaceutical retailing business. All of them 3 different industries. And I've been in farming also before. And because our business consulting firm offers business solutions and consultants to a wide range of businesses, we interact with farmers. We are engaged sometimes to provide consultants to them. And I'll tell you, there is no industry whose landscape is littered with casualties, failed businesses, losses, frustrated people as the agricultural space. And I'll tell you that from our survey, this comes mainly because of lack of business knowledge on the side of farmers. Many of the farmers, which is the science, and not the business side of agriculture, which is the social science. Many farmers focus on the technical side, which is a natural science, agriculture. They will learn everything about that chicken, when it should be vaccinated, what kind of vaccine should be given, when it should be debeaked, and everything in that line. They know it very well by name and time and when it should be done. What they do not know, ask any farmer and say, so how big is your market? What is your potential market? What is your target market? Immediately you begin to ask such questions, you will realize that when it comes to the business side of the business, majority of farmers, especially small scale farmers, are ignorant on that. And I should mention that there is nothing that is so costly in business as ignorance. And I always mention that in business, there is one thing of the many competitive advantages you might have. There is no competitive advantage that I know as strong and with greater repercussions as knowledge. Knowledge is a great competitive advantage. It is very easy for your neighbors to outwit you on any other thing you might think of as a competitive advantage. Whether it is location, anybody can shift any day if location is the competitive advantage. Whether it is access to financing, any person can get money any day. Whether it is human resource, anybody can employ anybody any day. But I'll tell you that there is one thing which you cannot just pick in a day, and that is knowledge. And in business, knowledge is critical. It is a competitive advantage that materializes itself in every aspect of business. It will show itself in your marketing strategy. It will show itself in your management. It will show itself in the processes that you have. It will show itself in the policies. It will show itself in everything about your business. Now, of everything I have said so far, what I am saying is, I want you to stop viewing yourself as a farmer of chickens, as a farmer of tomatoes, as a farmer of cattle, a cattle farmer, whatever. Forget about that. Begin to see yourself as an entrepreneur who is into cattle farming, an entrepreneur who is into bee farming, an entrepreneur who is into tomato farming, an entrepreneur who is into cattle ranching, an entrepreneur who is into aquaculture, an entrepreneur in hydroponics. Okay, once you begin to see yourself as such, as an entrepreneur who is into a specific line of agriculture, your perspective and perception about your business changes. And immediately that changes, the output equally changes. So I'm going to make this very practical today and very simple. We are going to focus on how you strategically position your farm in the context of marketing. How you strategically position your farming business in the context of marketing. That is going to be the focus of my discussion with you today. There is an adage that says doing business without marketing is like winking at a lady in the dark and hoping that she's going to pick the signal. Doing business without marketing is like winking at a lady in the dark and hoping she's going to pick the signal. And another writer says marketing is the lifeblood of every business. Actually, those of you who love to read, you are going to realize that when you read about much of the big corporations, the multinationals that you have, you are going to realize that most of the multinationals, when you look at their budget, over 40% of their budget goes to marketing. Over 40% of their market, the biggest chunk of any respected corporation, of any respected multinational, goes to marketing. I can give you a very practical example here in Zambia, and the example is Trade Kings. Look at how much Trade Kings advertises. You go to TV, it's Trade Kings. You go to radio, it is Trade Kings. You go on social media, they are there. The traditional marketing routes of newspapers and everything, it is Trade Kings. Until you have reached a point where when you hear water, what comes to your mind is Vatra. In other words, Trade Kings has positioned itself into your subconscious, that at any point that you think of buying a good which is in line, or a product in line with what they produce, you cannot even think about the alternatives provided by their competitors. They have come on the market, they will pump in millions in a product until they wipe out from the minds of their target clientele any other alternative. The lifeblood of any business is marketing. Even big multinationals like Coca-Cola Company, who almost have a monopoly within the beverage industry, the Coca-Cola Company is ever marketing. If you are not marketing, visualize yourself as an entrepreneur who is in agriculture, an entrepreneur who is into farming. Because once you begin visualizing yourself, that maize, but you should also give attention to the market where that maize is going. You should give attention to your groundnuts, but you should also give attention to the market where those groundnuts are going. Now, here is the tragedy of an average small or medium enterprise farmer, and one who is an SME, one who is a small scale farmer. The tragedy is such a farmer looks for money, and oftentimes this money is very hard to find. He finds money as capital. He will go in an industry that he has heard rumors of from the neighbor or from the friends, hearsay kind of data, them just saying, with chickens, you can never go wrong. And that is enough information to act, to get a loan, to get money from somebody, or to use their pension if they are retiring, or anything. On information, because somebody says, broilers, you can never go wrong. Fish farming, you can never go wrong. This and that, you can never go wrong. That is the tragedy. So this farmer gets the money. Normally, this is the story. The neighbor said, broilers, you can't go wrong. Or the farmer saw that the neighbor has put broilers. So he goes to get the money. Then he heads to go and buy, whether it's tiger chicks or whatever other chicks, he'll go and buy them. After he has bought them, he goes to this poultry that he has put and invested so much in, and he begins to grow his chickens. Well, 5 weeks down the line, the chickens are ready for sale. Then the farmer, at 5 weeks, begins to ask himself, so where are we taking these chickens now? At 5 weeks. He started preparing his poultry 3 months ago, or even 5 months ago, or a year ago. He did not ask himself where he will sell those chickens until the chickens are ready at 5 weeks. Then he says, where do we sell? Another neighbor says, the chickens are sold at Soweto. That farmer loads his truck, goes to Soweto, arrives there, finds that we have our brothers from China who have come with these big chickens that make his chickens to look like they are chicks to these ones. And suddenly his chickens are going for 17 kwacha, 19 kwacha, 21 kwacha, and he goes back to his farm in losses. It is the same story with the tomato farmer. And it is worse for the fish farmer, because much as the chicken farmer can return with his chicken back home, the fish farmer cannot return with his fish home. It is rotting. So ultimately, at the end of the day, now he's at Soweto and his giveaway price goes back home in pure losses. How can we stop this vicious cycle of losses repeating in farming over and over? How can we stop this? We can stop it by being strategic. We can stop it by being deliberate. We can stop it by proper planning. We can stop it by forecasting. And that is what we want to look at today. So how do you position your farm strategically? Now, here is the thing. Never get in any business of which you have not conducted a market research. Positioning your farming business strategically. Step number 1, never get in any business that you have not done a market research for. Never get into that. You see, the big multinationals study their market even before they open a business. When ShopRite thinks of moving into a new market, they do what is called a feasibility study. And part of the components within that feasibility study is a market research. A market research asks questions like, how many people are around that are able to buy this product? How many people want this product? How many people have ability to buy this product? How many people are currently manufacturing or producing this product? They produce it in which type? They sell it for how much? What is the distribution channels that they use as they sell? What is the advantage of the products that they sell? All this is done within the context of the market research. So I am saying, as you are going to position yourself in agriculture, and we are saying you are no longer a farmer from today onwards. Don't introduce yourself as a farmer. Introduce yourself as an entrepreneur who is into farming. An entrepreneur who is into farming. And we are saying, whichever kind of business line, agriculture industry you want to get in, right, or sub-industry, the first thing you must do is a market research. Now, I'll expand a bit about this. As you are doing that, that is strategizing. A market research is a research that is done to establish the size of potential clients, potential customers for a product or a service that you have which you want to sell. That's a market research. This market research is mainly of two types. We have what is called a primary market research and a secondary market research. What is a secondary market research? A secondary market research is more of a desk review. It means you sit down and collect information that has been published. You collect that information, that information should inform you about how you are going to launch your business, how you are going to package your products, how you are going to sell them, to whom you are going to sell them. So that information is going to come by doing a research. It is called a secondary market research. It is a desk review. So let's ask a question. For you that are in agriculture, how do you do this? Where would you collect the information to inform you about the industry where you want to go in? You can collect that information from the Chamber of Commerce. You can collect that information from the Ministry of Agriculture, from the different departments, depending on which line you are in, whether it's livestock, whether it is fisheries, whatever it is, you are able to collect that information. In an era such as this one, things have been simplified. You do not have to physically walk to fisheries or walk to this other department. Most of the reviews and surveys and profiles that are done along industries are published. You can find them on the internet. So I'm saying, before you start any business in agriculture, and you see, most of us, the small scale farmers, we underestimate the importance of these things. And that is why they cost us heavily. So as I'm sharing this right now, there are some of you who feel now farming should become that complicated. Well, why your farming is struggling is because you think it is simple. Farming is not simple. It is a business. You have to be strategic. You have to plan, and you have to invest in that planning. So if you sit here and say, now, tomatoes, I'm doing a market research. Chickens, I'm doing a market research, and you're thinking you want to dive in there head first without data, that is what is going to cost you. Now, some of the sources of where you can do your market research. For example, somebody says farming should not be complicated. That's very true, but farming is very complicated. Now, one of the very good places where you can get information here in Zambia, for those of you that are here as farmers, is ZDA. ZDA publishes profiles. ZDA publishes profiles for different industries. And there's a profile on agriculture, and in there you find the sub-industries that are in there. There is going to be a profile. That profile will tell you of how big that industry is, the potential market within it, the major players that are in there. It gives you this information. It means when you begin to act, you act from an informed point of view. Very, very important, because when you get that information, allow me to just switch on my aircon because it's getting heated in here. So just allow me to put on my aircon because I'm now sweating. Okay. I hope it does not disturb the video, okay? I hope it does not disturb the sound quality. Now I'm saying, one of the places where you can do it, collect information for a desk review to check about your market research to inform you, ZDA, Chamber of Commerce. These guys give a lot of information. So I'm saying whatever industry you are going to get in, get the information. Ensure you have the information on the fingertips. Let me just give you an example of basic information anyone who is into fish farming should have. A person should have information such as knowing that, for example, in Zambia, currently as a country, you know that Zambia has got a total size of land which is 42 million hectares of land. 42 million hectares of land. Of that 42 million hectares of land, 15 million of that hectares are water bodies, fresh water bodies. And in those fresh water bodies, we have over 300,000 people that are involved in fish farming currently. And as at now, Zambia has a total of about 13,000 fish ponds across the country. 13,000 fish ponds. So when you're coming in, you know that you're competing against 13,000 fish ponds. But that does not scare you. Why? Because you know that currently the production at a national level annually, it is between 60,000 to 70,000 tons of fish. But in there, you know that the fish that comes from aquaculture directly is just about 5,000 tons. And you know that the current market demand of fish in Zambia is estimated at 120,000 tons annually. Deduct 70,000, it tells you that we are in more than 50,000 tons deficit of fish. It tells you you have got a space in which to operate. Then you begin asking yourself, who are the major players within this industry? What are they doing? How are they supplying? What are their distribution channels? That helps you to come up with a strategy of how to position yourself. What I'm saying is you cannot strategically position yourself out of ignorance. You cannot strategically position yourself with no information unless you are positioning yourself to be booted out of an industry. So that is a secondary research. But here is another type of a research. It is actually called a primary research, okay? It is called a primary research. So primary market research. I've talked of a secondary where you're going to go to your libraries, you're going to go to the ministries, you're looking for already published data, you're looking at surveys, at reports and all that. The second one is a primary market research. A primary market research means you get down on the ground yourself and you formulate questionnaires. You formulate questionnaires and you go and administer these questionnaires to collect information from people about the product or service that you are creating and are about to sell. That is a primary market research. And if you asked me, I would tell you that it is very important. Or somebody says, is it ZDA or ZTA? It is ZDA, Zambia Development Agency. Just visit their website and there are a lot of profiles you can pick from there, ZDA, okay? So saying a primary market research is that you formulate a questionnaire. Now, some of you might begin to think a questionnaire is, it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to go and get somebody with a degree in methodology or biostatistics to do this for you. No. Here are the questions you must ask or that your questionnaire must answer. Okay? You want to develop a certain product, or let's say you want to sell your tomatoes, you want to sell your fish, or you are going into value addition. Your fish, now you are packaging it as tinned fish or in plastics, or it is your chicken, you are cutting it into pieces and you want to package it and go and sell. Whatever kind of package of that chicken you have in mind, which you want to create, before you create it, you walk to the people you'd want to sell that chicken to with a questionnaire and ask them questions. Ask them questions. Number one, how often do they buy the product you want to sell? That is question number one. How often, if it is chicken, how often do they buy chicken? How often do they buy tomatoes? How often do they buy avocados? How often do they buy trees? That is, if you are into horticulture. How often do they buy manure? If you are supplying manure, go and ask that question. Number two, in what quantity do they buy? In what quantity do they buy? Somebody says, is it possible to create a demand for a new product? Yes, it is. We might address that a little bit later. But so how often do they buy? In what quantity do they buy? Quantity, you are talking about either grammage, the size, how many kgs? Do they buy it as 2 kg, as 1 kg, as what? And in what size? Now, you have asked how often they buy, in what amount they buy, but also ask, in what amount or quantity would you want to buy? Sometimes it is possible that the competitors that are already on the market are selling a certain thing in a certain quantity that has become standardized, but actually the market is wishing for another quantity, which is either smaller than that or bigger than that. That is why you see that companies that understand this, the big corporations, begin to create products in different packages. You have cooking oil, 750 mils, 500 mils, 1 liter, 2 liters. Those, each of those products by size is calculated to address a certain market segmentation, a certain segment of the market they are targeting. So the market that you want to target, you ask yourself a question. You go and you ask them. Right now, if I've seen somebody says, what makes most farmers ignore market research is largely, so let me just have a look at the comments so that our talk is relevant to what comments are coming through. Somebody says, and I think this is, says, what makes most farmers ignore market research is largely because their target market is their circle of friends only. There is no alternative to market research regardless of sector. That's a very good contribution, and that is very, very true. Most farmers go into farming hoping to sell to church members and relatives and friends, and nobody collapses a business faster than church members, relatives, and friends. They often buy after negotiating you down very much, and they buy on credit, which they are going to pay after 1 year when your money has lost value and you are out of business. So that is very, very true. And I should mention that what normally ends us with selling to relatives, friends, and church members is because now we are desperate. We never did a market research. We do not know who we can sell to, what our market is, what the market segmentation is. So we end up out of desperation now beginning to sell only to church members out of verses and PT. We got scriptures for them to buy, and they buy, and they never pay. So I am emphasizing that do a primary market research. Your questionnaire should ask, how often do you buy chicken? Go around asking in the community in which you want to be selling. That is before you make your product. Go and begin asking them, how often do you buy chicken? How often do you buy bananas? How often do you buy what? You buy them at how much? What is the price? You buy them in what quantity? They are packaged in what quantity? You begin asking these questions. Why you are collecting this information is so that you come and tailor your product, number one, in the size that the clients want it, and you produce in amounts that speak to the market demand. Why you are doing that is so that you come and create a product that is not irrelevant. You create a product that your client really needs. And apart from that, you produce it in amounts that the market can consume. People have ended up overproducing things where they saturate their own market and nobody is now buying, and they end up in losses. What you are producing should speak to the market demand. And that can only happen if you have done your market research. Now, here is the thing. There are two major types of markets that you must consider before you even start a business, before you start your farm, before you buy your chickens. Two types of markets. Number one, it is the potential market. Number two, it is the target market. The potential market and the target market. What is the difference between the potential market and the target market? The potential market is the wider market out there that you have possibility to sell to if you had capacity to sell to them. For example, if you begin farming layers and you are producing eggs here in Lusaka, Senanga is your potential market. Mwinilunga is your potential market because people in Mwinilunga eat eggs. Livingstone is your potential market. People in Livingstone eat eggs. Chipata is your potential market. All these are potential markets because you could sell to them if you had the ability and people would buy. That is your potential market. What is the importance of studying your potential market and understanding the potential market? The importance of that is that the potential market speaks to the viability of your business in the long term. 3 years from now, 5 years from now, will your business still survive 5 years from now? The potential market is what answers that. Your potential market answers to the possibility of growth in your business. A business that can grow is only a business that has a huge potential market. And remember, a potential market is a market that you cannot currently you don't have ability to service, but if you had all things at your disposal, you would be able to service because even in it, there are people who require your product. That is the potential market. So as you choose a business that you want to go in farming, ask yourself, what is the potential market of this business? If it is small, it tells you that your business will struggle to grow, or at a certain point you to reach a ceiling. That is the potential market. Number two, the target market. The target market is the immediate market that you are able to service at your current ability, at your current stage of what you have, your current production capacity. The market, the immediate market that you are able to service, who would need your product, that is the target market. Both of these must be studied before you start your business. Why? The target market will determine the viability of the business now. The potential market will determine the potential of growth. When you get in an industry where you have a target market available now, but the potential market is small, what that tells you is that your business, yes, will be viable, it will be running, but it will be forever small because it can't grow. It will be forever small because it can't grow. Why? The potential market is small. When you get into a business that has a huge potential market, but the target market of where you are located is small, that business will struggle to start because it will take too long for that business to break even. Why? There are no people buying the products. And you cannot extend to the potential market before you satisfy your target market. You cannot jump to the potential market for growth before you grow your business within the target market. So very important. So what am I saying? If you're going to start fish farming now, you ask yourself, what is my target market? The target market is where you are going to put your fish shop. If you're going to use the model of a fish, of a shop. So you say, I'll put my shop in Kabata. That means your target market is Kabata. If you're going to put it in Emersdale, it is Emersdale. If you're going to put it in Charleston, it is Charleston. As you are looking for a target market, ask yourself, does this market have enough customers to make this business viable and profitable and break even so that I can be able to jump into the potential market? Let me look at the comments and submissions that are coming in. I think I can see some comments and submissions. So most farmers fail because they want to handle all the processes by themselves. As an entrepreneur that is into farming, try to bring in people that can handle areas where you are weak. If you have the farming technical knowledge and not good at business side of it, then bring in someone that can handle that part or the reverse to that. That is very, very true. What has been shared there is a lot of wisdom. That is why we should begin to think of joint ventures, even in farming. Okay, they come with the advantage of expertise, and you begin to combine expertise, and that might help very, very much. And equally, if you can't find a partner to partner with, you can equally mitigate for that by learning, reading. Thanks, I have always had a hunch about making sure of the market. That's very good. Don't dive into anything without doing a market research. It is the best way to lose your money. Somebody says, are you done with the questions I need for a primary research? You have only mentioned 3. Okay. I need for primary research, you have only mentioned 3. Oh, okay, I see what this one means. Good teaching here. What about an illiterate farmer? How do they carry out a market research? Very good question. An illiterate farmer who cannot write. Remember, the ultimate achievement of a market research is not written things. Well, if you can write well and good, you have the advantage of education. But the importance is you knowing your market. So whether you can write or not write, you are still able to do a market research. If you are illiterate, you cannot write, go asking the same questions I've asked here. Where do you buy your eggs? How much do you buy your eggs for? Who supplies you with the eggs? And information around that. So you can ask. The information you'll be collecting is actually a market research that you are doing. Okay? Is it possible to create a demand for a new product that hasn't been tried before? Suppose there is not info or demand for things such as rabbits. Can we just start a niche market from scratch? Yes, you can do that. This is the model that Steve Jobs was very good at. Steve Jobs brought an iPod before anybody knew about the iPod. And he made everybody believe that you needed an iPod. And we ended up buying the iPod. He created a market for that. So it's very possible for you to create a new market and induce demand within a market for a new product. Yes, that can be done, but probably that could be a topic for another day. So I've emphasized, I talked about secondary market research and primary market research. We have said in primary market research, you can either make questionnaires, distribute them. These days, you can even do an online survey on your Facebook page. You can get information from there. If you have a website, you can do that using your website. If you can't do that because where you are, technology is not good, or your target market is of people that are not very literate, so what do? Do focus group discussions. Go and meet them, sit with them, ask them questions, let them give you information. But what I'm saying, friends, is I know the pain of losing money in agriculture. Never invest if you have not done a market research. After you have done a market research, clearly, I could advise you on this, that is when you can go and begin your venture. Don't begin a venture without a market research. You can begin a venture. Your market research should lead you to the next step, which is creating what is called a marketing strategy. A marketing strategy is informed by the market research that you did. By the way, remember, within the market research that you do, there is one thing I've forgotten to tell you about. It is called a competitor analysis. Also do a competitor analysis. So you do a market research, but do a competitor analysis. What is a competitor analysis? Pick 5 of the people that compete with you directly in that market. Pick 5 companies, 5 businesses, 5 farms, 5 speakers, 5 whatever it is that you are in, that compete with what is called a competitor analysis. What is the importance of the competitor analysis? Customers will only buy from you if you have got a competitive advantage, if there is something better about you than your competitors. And you can never create something better than your competitors before you know what your competitors are providing. So you do a competitor analysis. A competitor analysis means you must know where your competitors are located, because location in business can be a competitive advantage. So if it is a farm, ask yourself, where are my competitors located relative to the market that we supply? Because the one who is located closest to the market has a competitive advantage by location. A fish pond that is close to a market has a competitive advantage over a fish pond that is 10 kilometers away from the market. And if yours is 10 kilometers away, it would mean then you should ask yourself to say, how do I beat my competitor much as he has the competitive advantage of being closer to the market than I am? That is the importance of doing a competitor analysis. So pick 5 direct competitors, not indirect competitors, direct competitors to you. Pick them. Number 1, ask yourself, where are they located? Why? Location is a competitive advantage in business. Number 2, ask yourself, where do they get their supplies? Who are their suppliers? Because where you get your supplies determines the cost of production, of doing business. And that cost of production will reflect itself in the pricing of your products. It is true that you can always increase your profit margins in a business, either by increasing your price of products or by lowering the cost of production, which means getting cheaper suppliers, cheaper fertilizer, cheaper feed, cheaper feeders, cheaper cement, cheaper whatever it is that you are doing, cheaper vaccines and medicine for your livestock. If the cost of production is low, even if, look at this, if you priced your chickens at 50 kwacha, but the cost of producing that one chicken is 25 kwacha, it means your profit is 25. You can increase your profit by either taking the price of your chicken to 60 kwacha or by reducing the cost of production to 20 kwacha. If you reduce the cost of production to 15 kwacha, or you take your price to 60 kwacha, you should know that in both cases, the profit margin would have increased by a similar amount. But the difference is that the one who has taken his price to 60 kwacha will be labeled by customers as expensive, and soon the customers stop to buy. The one who has lowered his cost of production, customers will think he has maintained the price, and yet his profit margins have increased. You do that by establishing cheaper sources to supply you with your inputs. And I always tell people that there is always a cheaper supplier than the one you currently have. There is always a cheaper supplier than the one you currently have. And it is only as you do this competitor analysis that you will begin to know that, oh, actually there are other suppliers than the ones where I go to who are way cheaper than what I've been getting. I'll give you an example. On our printing business, for example, when we started, we used to buy from one supplier. We used to buy that box, reams of papers. We used to buy it at 500 kwacha. Soon as we did our market research and the competitor analysis, we came to realize that some of our competitors were buying from a certain company. I won't mention it, but a certain company found around Chandwe Msonda Road. Where when we went there, we found that a box was 400 kwacha. And we said, look, we have been buying this thing expensively at 500 kwacha. These guys are selling at 400 kwacha. We started buying there. But we never tire to continue researching for cheaper sources. And guess what? Recently, we have found where we buy the same box at a 320 kwacha. And we have maintained our printing at 47 ngwe per page for our books. But because now we are getting our stationery at a box at 320 instead of 500 kwacha, our profits have almost doubled. That is the mathematics. So that is why I am saying, make sure you do a competitor analysis. And I've said a competitor analysis, number one, establish the location. Where are your competitors located? Number two, who supplies them with their supplies? Establish that clearly. Number three, what products are your competitors providing? What products? Number four, they're providing them in what quantities? Number five, they are packaging their product in what kind of packaging? How are they packaging their products? Number six, how are they selling their products? What is their distribution channel? Are they using agents? Are they selling by the shops themselves? Are they franchising? How are they selling their product? Are they who selling? Are they retailing? So how are they selling? Establish that clearly. At what price are they selling? Are there any incentives they are giving together with their product to their client? Why are you collecting this information? When you have collected this information, it will help you know how to position yourself to beat your competition. You can beat your competition on location. You can beat your competition on pricing. You can beat your competition on delivery. Maybe delivery time, because in your competitor analysis, also do delivery time. What is the turnaround time? How long do they take to raise their chickens? How long do they take to supply? When somebody makes an order, how long do they take to supply? Do they deliver or the client follows? You find that clients go to get from their farm. And you come in with a model where you say, when you buy from us, we will deliver the produce at your doorstep. That in itself becomes a competitive advantage. Let me open it for questions and answers because I see that I've spoken for quite some time. Can I open it? Elder Swalanga, are you in?
Yes, I'm in. Thanks for the presentation, timely and quite thought-provoking. And I can see a number of followers have written down a number of questions. Maybe before we go to answer and questions, which will try by all means to limit so that we not go far from the time that we usually allocate. We want to thank you, Evangelist, for the time that you've accorded to us. And we thank the followers, those that are watching through Zoom and those that are watching via Facebook. We bring to you these lessons every Sunday at 20 hours to 21 hours. And we want to encourage you to like our page, Zhunga Simbalanga. You can like the page for image, which is Daniel Kabani. Follow us, and we do a number of other lessons. And today's lesson, particularly, as you have seen, it's on marketing and very encouraging. So now I'll ask that Emmanuel can read out the questions, and then the presenter will answer them. Let's see how far our time would take us. Emmanuel, the questions that you have, I've seen that the presenter was answering as he was presenting. Maybe those from Facebook, so that you pick them up for him, and then he addresses some questions. Let's pick maybe 4 questions, then he answers them. Then we'll be able to answer them as we go during the week due to time. Emmanuel?
Thank you very much, sir. So far, we have one from Gwyneth from Facebook. How do you assess the quality of your chip supplier, knowing chip is expensive?
Sorry, Mr. Emmanuel, just repeat the question again.
How do you assess the quality of your chip supplier knowing chip is expensive?
Okay, I see. That's a very good question. That chip is expensive. Of course, it's an adage that speaks to imply that oftentimes chip is cheap because it is counterfeit or because it is compromised. It is true in certain instances, but not always true. Sometimes things are cheap because they are produced in mass production. Okay? If you have got a supplier who is able to produce something critical mass in very huge numbers, you'd know that those things are going to cost at a very lower price than a supplier whose production is limited. So it is not always true that what is cheap might actually be substandard, it might be counterfeit or of a low quality. But the question is still very important. It is very important for you to ascertain the quality of what you push into your process. Remember, oftentimes processes are as good as what you put in. Okay, if you put in something that is bad, if you put in counterfeit products, substandard seedlings, substandard fingerings, substandard, whatever it is that you are likely going to get a substandard product no matter how good your processes are. So it is very important for you to establish quality. You cannot know the quality unless you are informed. Remember that old traditional story that we always hear about how the central banks get to know counterfeit notes in that they study the original for them to be able to know the counterfeit. It applies everywhere. If you are not knowledgeable about anything, you have not read enough about that, you are likely to get a counterfeit product. Your only salvation from getting counterfeit supplies or anything is through knowledge acquisition about that particular thing. Ensure you read, number one. Number two, ensure you consult. That's why we talked about it being a competitor analysis. Ensure you consult with those that have been in that business before. Those of you who love to read should have read a book, The Richest Man in Babylon, right? The Richest Man in Babylon. When you read that book, you would know that at some point that fella, I think is Akkad, advising some other fella who lost his money. The advice was simple. He told him he lost his money because he went to ask from a bricklayer about diamonds. You don't go to ask from a bricklayer about diamonds, you will lose your money. And even within the agricultural space, if you want to go in aquaculture, don't go and ask a fruit farmer for his opinion. His opinion has little bearing on aquaculture. If you are going in fruit farming, don't go and ask somebody who is into livestock. His opinion has very little bearing. So I am saying, get as much information as you can. It is what is going to save you from losing your hard-earned money. Even when it comes to, acquiring, whether it is equipment, whether it is inputs, whatever supplies you are getting, get as much information by consulting. For me, it is my personal policy that I never buy a product when I have not asked from not less than 5 other suppliers. And when I go to suppliers, I ask as many questions. Why is this costing this much? Where do you get it? I ask all the questions. So that would be my advice on that one. Mr. Emmanuel, back to you.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's have another one from Anasa. What do you consider in secondary market?
Okay, so in a secondary market research, you are trying to answer the same questions. Number one, you are trying to establish the potential market. Number two, the target market. Secondary research is often very hard to be performed in Africa. Why? There is little that is published. So normally here in Africa, the easier thing to do is a primary research because there is so much gaps in the data that is published. But there are still certain industry where you are actually able to get good enough information. So what you are considering in a secondary research is number one, what is the potential market? Number two, what is the target market? Number three, who are the competitors within that market? Number four, what is the demand that is there within that market? This information, you are able to get it in publication. Here are good places where you can get that. I've talked of ZDA. Visit the World Bank. World Bank does profiles on every country, on a number of industries within each country. They do that. And the data you get from there will be very shocking, the detail to which they have. And there are also other NGOs. For you that are in agriculture, go and look at PAM. PAM produces quite very good reviews of each agricultural industrial line. Go and look at PAM. There are a number, visit their website. There are a number of profiles actually that they publish in line with that. That should be able to help you very much. I hope it answers the question.
Thank you very much, sir. We also have another one from Clara. What are the most effective means and media of advertising the farm products in this current era?
The farm products. In this current era, I would admonish every farmer to digitalize. The advantage of digitalizing is that there is no ceiling that comes with the traditional way of marketing. That is the advantage. The traditional way of marketing has limitation. What is traditional marketing? Traditional marketing is billboards. It is newspapers. It is radio and TV. These have got limitations now. If you're going to go and put your advert about your farm produce on a poster here in town, it is limited to the people that use that route. I want you to know that currently the cheapest way of advertising and the most effective way of advertising is digital marketing. Every farm and every farmer, every entrepreneur who is into farming must have presence on Facebook, presence on Instagram, presence on LinkedIn, presence on WhatsApp. You must have this. I was just talking to a friend of mine some 2 days ago who is into maize farming, and right now his maize is ready. He says the demand is overwhelming. What this guy just does is he just puts on Facebook, whoever wants maize, contact our line. And every day they are running around distributing maize. So in this era, I'll tell you that right now, every one of you present in this meeting, you have been on social media today, not more than once, not less than once. You have been on Facebook not less than 1 hour, each one of you here. But I can guarantee that some of you from morning to now have not watched TV, have not listened to radio, have not read any newspaper, have not read any magazine, and can't remember any adverts that you saw on the road. But majority of you that are in here have WhatsApped somebody, have gone to Instagram, and have gone on Facebook. And when you look at the Zikta statistics here in Facebook, the leading platform is, here in Zambia, the leading platform is Facebook. So I'm going to encourage you, digitalize. It allows you to break beyond your immediate target market to the potential market at a very low cost. Go get some pictures. Let me give to you very good examples of people that are doing well in farming. One of them is a young man who is now my good friend that I've actually mentored in this line. Most of you who are in farming should actually know him. His name is Abel Hangoma, the radical farmer. Abel Hangoma has grown within a very short time to become a leading farmer in organic farming. And in case you do not know why Abel Hangoma is good at what he does, is because Abel Hangoma is a computer engineer. Very brilliant, smart young man. He is a computer engineer. And before he went in farming, he was a guy designing websites. Actually, our first website for all our DNK businesses were designed by Abel Hangoma. That time he was just doing websites. When he started his farming, Abel Hangoma on a daily basis is posting on his Facebook page. And guess what? Don't be discouraged when you see one like on your post. It is not the likes that see. People see and they don't like. Some of them are too proud to like. But what you should know is that they have seen the video. They have seen it. So continue marketing. You are not marketing until people are irritated by your content. You are not marketing. So on a daily basis, those of you who follow him, you know that today he was in Monze planting trees on a certain farm. That farm on which he was planting those trees is for his client in the diaspora who is in Sweden. Because one of his big markets, look at what you do when you digitalize. One of the biggest markets that Abel Hangoma has tapped in is the diaspora market. That's where he actually is doing his biggest projects. One person in the diaspora will say, go and plant trees on my farm worth 500,000. Worth 300,000, worth 150,000. He has tapped in the diaspora market by how? Utilizing the digital platforms. On a daily basis, he does a video explaining something, showing how to make organic mature, how to create pesticides, how to plant avocados, how to tell which one is counterfeit, and those people that are following you, brand yourself as an expert. So I'm going to encourage every one of you and digitalize. You cannot be in business and be a secret agent. And you cannot be in business and hope to surprise people. You will end up surprising yourself. I hope that helps with the question.
Thank you very much, sir.
And by the way, those of you...
So you can go on, sir.
Yes, please. I just wanted to mention that those of you who would want to interact with Abel Hangoma, or you would want to interact with Elder Swalanga and the team here, next Sunday, not this Sunday, next Sunday, on the 10th of October, we are having an expo at Mulungushi Conference Center, an education expo. And there are two farmers who will be speaking there. One of them is Abel Hangoma. The other one is Dr. Tamara Kaunda. So I took out a lot of stuff, and I throw that invitation to all of you that are watching on Facebook and those of you that are here. Come to Mulungushi from 12 hours to 17 next Sunday. To you, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you very much, sir. And on that same topic of digital marketing, we actually had a training last week about how farmers can actually advertise their produce, farm produce, and also grow their business while using Facebook. So please do check out that training. It's currently live on our YouTube channel, Emsika Services. Please do check it out. We wouldn't want to miss that. As Mr. Daniel has mentioned, this is the most effective way of marketing your produce as a farmer. Please do check out that social media marketing. It will help you how to create your page and advertise your produce on Facebook. We also have another one from Manas again. I think looking at time, we'll just combine these questions. So one is okay to take your potential market as a target market if the target market is flooded or not profitable. Then the next one is please speak a bit more on market strategy key points.
Okay. I think I've missed the first one. The first one, if you could just repeat it.
The first one is, so one is okay to take their potential market as a target market if the target market is flooded or not profitable.
Yes, that is very true. Sometimes your target market, where you want to begin, remember your target market is where you want to put your first outlet, where you want to begin your business from, where you are going to supply. For example, if you are into, what example can I give? If you are producing tomatoes and you are doing 12 crates per day, or you are doing just even 2 crates per day, well, you cannot do 2 crates. You are farming in Chongwe, then you are taking those 2 crates to Mumba. Definitely, Mumba is a potential market. But by the time you reach Mumba, you would have lost everything that is in those crates. So, in other words, the target market is where you are beginning from. But now, sometimes your target market can be saturated. What then must you do? If your target market is saturated in terms of the competition is strong, there are so many competitors who are very low and have strong brands than yourself. What are you supposed to do in that case? My advice to you would be, don't start a business. Shift to a market that is not yet saturated. Shift to a market. I've got a friend who normally tells me, he's very blunted, there's a way he puts it. He normally tells me to say, Daniel, if you do not like where you are, move. You are not a tree. That's what he tells me. If you do not like where you are, if where you are is not favorable, move. You are not a tree. And this is going to be my encouragement to most of you that are actually here. We have a fear of exploring markets as Zambians and as Africans especially. Some of you right now, the stories you have about South Africa are stories of somebody being stabbed with a wire and the other one, the money, they got the money. Those are the only stories. The stories you have of Kasumbalesa are scary stories. So you are limited to some market that is saturated, where all of you are selling the same thing or to a very few clientele. Do not fear to explore new markets. Let us have the courage of Nigerians, our brothers from Nigeria, to be able to go see what can be sold to Kasumbalesa. Do you know, most of you that are here, that, for example, Namibia is a very good vegetable market. Namibians don't farm. Namibians, yes, they keep livestock. Beef there is a little bit cheap, but they all eat beef. They don't have vegetables. And Zambians are not supplying to Namibia. Very good market. You know, here, Congo, it is the same thing, just by Kasumbalesa. A chicken that costs 60 kwacha here is going at 130 by Kasumbalesa. So yes, I think that question also is an encouragement to everyone. If your target market is saturated, don't fear to move. And sometimes you can go into partnerships. If your target market is saturated, partner with another person so that you can be able to move to their market, which they may not be able to hit. Give a practical example. My young brother, Malato, some of you know Malamoto, another very young farmer who is doing great stuff. Malamoto at some point got a deal to be supplying a certain client who needed to be supplied 5,000 chickens every 5 days. 5,000 chickens every 5 days. And those days he could not meet the demand. He could not meet the demand. He went around looking for fellow small farmers, because then he was small, who were also doing 500 chickens, 1,000 chickens. Says, guys, let's team up together. We can be bringing our chickens so that we supply this guy, because he needs 5,000 chickens every 5 days. Guess what? The other guys refused and said, he wants to eat our money on top of our heads. He's the one who will be meeting with a guy. We don't know how much they'll be selling. They were still willing to be going to Soweto at 23 hours and sit from there from 23 to 5 hours, selling their chickens at 19 kwacha and 21 kwacha. So I don't know, but I hope that this can help in line with that. If your target market is saturated, move to another market. The other one was key pointers on marketing strategy. So marketing strategy, only you do a marketing strategy after you have done your competitor analysis. Okay, so you have done your competitor analysis, you understand what your competitors sell, how they sell it, and how they market it. Then you come and look at how they market, and ask yourself, what is it that they are doing in marketing, which we can also do? What is it that they are not doing in marketing, which we should do? For example, if they market only on Facebook, and that's the only thing you can do, they do. In your marketing strategy, then you introduce WhatsApp broadcasting, where one message goes to everyone who is in your phone book and on WhatsApp. You introduce Telegram. So you can only do that after you have done. But here's the thing, how you create your market strategy. Firstly, number one, you should segment your market. Segment your market. What do I mean by segmenting your market? Now that would go into a lot of stuff. Okay, so I won't go in that, but just know that you segment your market. Your market can be segmented, for example, maybe by demography, by gender, by economic status. You are supplying farm produce. Your farm produce can either be supplied to Kanyama, to Kabwata, or to Woodlands. These three are all in separate economic strata. And each market, its demands will be different. How you create your marketing strategy is you should have a strategy to market to the people in Kablonga, if they are within the kind you are targeting, a strategy to market to the people in Kabwata, a strategy to market to the people in Kanyama. Each of these groupings, what appeals to them is different. For example, I can guarantee if one of your target markets is one of our compounds here in Lusaka, Facebook marketing is a waste of time, because majority of the people that are in our compounds, they have phones, but they are not smartphones and they are not on Facebook. But if you are targeting a middle income earning community like Kata, like Livala, like which other one, Charleston, those places, everyone that is on Facebook. And if you go on Facebook, catch them. If you are targeting Kablonga, you are targeting Roma Park, you are targeting Minwood, the guys who stay there are busy. They are rarely on Facebook. They are on LinkedIn. So you must have a strategy to market on them on LinkedIn. While the guys in Kabwata, you are meeting them on Facebook. And the guys in Kanyama, you are going to get a track, get some dancers, put some music, and they'll be dancing with rap. Rap here is cheap, rap is here. Everybody will be packed at the ground to watch as people are dancing and the rap is bought. So I'm using just that funny example, but to mention that you must have a strategy for each of your markets, and that happens after you have segmented your market. I hope that that helps.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Manu.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kabani, for the time that you've shared with us, and it has been interesting. You've agitated our minds, and I'm sure we'll call you again to come and finish this topic. I know it is quite big. I saw you scratching the head, say, "Oh, I'm starting, and I'm opening up another line of marketing," which is quite interesting. We'll find much more time so that we can learn more from you. These farmers that are here, the majority could be static, and there are those that have been in this industry for some time, and others are stabilized. And that's why we are there as Zhunga Farms, to cut across all type of farmers so that they should be able to do what they should do best. We are farmers at Zhunga Farms. We farm a number of produces. We do cabbages, we do tomatoes, we do fresh maize, we do fish farming. We also have cattle and goats, and we sell these things. But our interest of late has been to share with the community. And as you have seen, we want to thank you equally for having come through for a free lesson. So we want to reach out to as many as we can. So please, every Sunday, those that are watching us via Zoom or Facebook, share our page, encourage others to join through, and look out for lessons like this on Sundays. And now that the rain season is on our way, we want to divert it from management lessons such as this into actual practical lessons, because now people need to know when they want to farm soybeans, how they should do it, and when they want to farm maize, how they should run about it. So next week lesson, I can let it out even now. We'll look at soybeans production. So we'll learn from land preparation to harvest. From land preparation to harvest. So I want to encourage each one of us to share this and be able to invite as many as we can. And we usually collaborate with the Mulimi Apunzile, which is the Emsika, and we bring on this platform different other people that we see are able to reach out to the majority of the people and be able to motivate them. So for now, I think with time, Manuel, we can say our goodbyes and sign out. Evangelist, please, your last words.
Thank you so much, my elder, for the invitation. And thank you, Mr. Emmanuel and your team for the invitation, and to all the people that joined in. Thank you so much. God bless you. Keep pushing, and I wish you all the best. God bless. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't sign out. As everyone else goes, we remain a bit behind, so we can chat a bit. Emmanuel?
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for that wonderful, wonderful training. Please don't forget to check out the training on YouTube and social media marketing that can help you to advertise your products digitally. We've come to the end of our training. Thank you for joining us. All those who are watching us from Facebook, we thank you for giving us the time. We could see in the comments that people were saying we need more time with him. It's hard to catch Mr. Daniel, and yeah, it's hard, but we thank you that you are with us, and we've dragged this training to like 21:33. So that's a big thumbs up. If you enjoyed the training, just please give us a thumbs up in the comments section. Share it with others. Also don't forget to like our Facebook page, Zhunga Farms, and also Mulimi Apunzile, and also Emsika Services Limited. If you want to watch these trainings are available on our Facebook page here, and also on YouTube, which is Emsika Services Limited. We also have training on cash crops under Mr. Abel. That's a radical farmer. Please do check it out. All these videos will be available on our YouTube channel. Also check out our e-commerce platform. That's Emsika Services. That's emsika.com. We have all farm inputs. That's fertilizer, seeds, and also incubators, and many more. Also check out our website, our e-learning platform, which is apunzile.com, where you'll find these trainings and many more. Thank you for joining us once again. Watch out for another training on Sunday. And please remember, no farmer, no food. Good night, and God bless you all.